friends to the James E. Bonine house. My name is Cindy and I'll be your tour guide for today. James E. Bonine was a Quaker and abolitionist. Quakers believed that slavery was a sin against God and man. Abolitionists wanted to abolish slavery. In 1843, James E. Bonine moved from Wayne County, Indiana to Young's Prairie. In 1844, he married Sarah Bogue. She's the daughter of Stephen Bogue, a station master on the Underground Railroad. Stephen Bogue's home is just west of the Bonine house. In about 1845, he built the front part of the house.
Move your mic a little bit. There you go. That's all right.
It's a Greek revival. It's a Greek revival. 2/2, a parlor, a living room, 2 bedrooms upstairs. In 1850, just across the street, he built the carriage house. It's the big white barn behind the store. It has curly lines going up in front. And that's where he gave food, shelter, and clothing to freedom seekers before they would go on to their next station. Just southwest of the carriage house, James E. Bonine purchased 640 acres of land. He invited freedom seekers and free blacks to come clear the land. They could use the wood to build their houses, use it for firewood, they could sell it. It was plotted off into 1 to 2 acres. It was like a 10-year plan. They could work for anybody they wanted to, save up their money, buy their own farms. Their children got to go to school. In 1870, after the Civil War, James E. built the back section of the home. He raised the roof. He had the tower, the porches. In 2010, the Underground Railroad Society of Cass County purchased the Bonine house and carriage house. The house was 6 months away from total construction house. All the way down from the roof, all the way down to the foundation. Bring in the foundation, put it back bird by bird, because of the historical significance of the home. The house was in bad shape, and so was the lion. He just looked like a big gray rock out there. He just looked like a big gray rock out there with grass growing up around him. Throughout the years, pieces would fall off. People would find him in the yard and put him back by his paws. Gary Weaver, a local artist from the Wajak, he did the restoration. And we say, before you go, brother's nose for luck. It works. The original house was from this door here to that doorway there. And this is the parlor. They had a fireplace in this room at the other end. They had a fireplace at this end and at the other end. The mantle, the original mantle was stored in one of the outbuildings here, and we found it, and we brought it back in to show what the house would have looked like in 1845.
And we're doing some work on the house now. That's why this parlor is full of furniture.
Yes. The 1845 part of the house is mostly poplar wood. Poplar wood does not have a rich type graining, so in 1870 he had painters come in and paint the wood to look like oak. On this part is called graining, and you can see it on the staircase as well. We believe that the original staircase came down from the south and went to the north. In 1870, when he did the remodel, he ordered this staircase from Chicago, Illinois. It was a kit, it came in a big box, and you got to put it together. And as we enter this room, I'm going to say, please look up. In 2011, when the Underground Railroad Society came in, they started to clean. And as they were cleaning the ceiling, the plaster and the paint was coming off in gobs. And they noticed some color in the corner. And they carefully removed the layer of plaster and the paint to reveal this beautiful hand-painted stenciling.
And now we're working to restore this stencil and all the graining in this room. And it's going to be beautiful. And this is called Second Empire, the 1870 remodel. They took out the hearth, the fireplace that was here, and they put in the bay windows, and they took the front windows and made them almost floor to ceiling.
Elongated the windows? Okay, now we're going to do a little time warp. We're going to go from 1845 to 1870. And this became their dining room. In 1934, Elwood Bonine, fifth generation grandson of James E. Bonine, moved into the house. He became a Michigan State Senator, and he created one of Michigan's first roadside state parks. There were buffalo and elk in there, and it was said that the elk were here all the way up until the 1970s. People would still see them in their backyards. And this is Bonine furniture. It was with their sixth generation granddaughter in St. Charles, Missouri, and she has donated it back to the house. And now we're going into the kitchen. Originally, this was where the summer kitchen was. And the fireplace is from 1845. So when he extended the back part of the home, he encompassed the summer kitchen. And you can still see there's a bracket here where you would have a rod that came out, and you could move your pans in and out. In 1930s or 40s, Elwood sealed up the fireplace. He put a big stove right here to cook, and you could still see the mark where the chimney went out from the big stove. And now we're going to go to what was the pantry in 1870. The pantry went all the way from this wall here all the way into what is now our restroom. So he could store a lot of food here, his dry goods. He had a smokehouse out back, so he could put his smoked meat in here as well.
And this is going to be the kitchen area of the house. You saw our appliances out here. So members of URSCC will be able to rent the Bonine house for events, marriages, parties. So we're excited, and that should happen this summer as far as putting our kitchen in.
And this is the back staircase. And so it's very steep, so we like everybody to use the main staircase to go up and down. We have 2 working restrooms, one here and one upstairs. And it's open to the public to use. So if you have to, please do. This is our office. I like to bring people into the office because I can show them what the house looked like in 2010 in the progression of the house. As you can see, the foundation is felling. This whole side is about to go. And there's our little lion, Lucky. We redid our roof. One of our roofers was up on the tower roof, and there was a shingle. He flipped it over, and it was green, so that's how we knew what color to paint the tower roof. In 1953, James E. Bonine sold the house to the Wright family. The Wright family had small children that liked to climb out onto the roof of the porches, and the porches were in disrepair. Mr. Wright removed the porches. Our architects used photographs of the Bonine house to make up blueprints for the porches to be rebuilt. Work began on the porches in December 2014. By the fall of 2015, the porches were done. Over 1,000 hand-cut pieces were done for the porches. And good, okay. Then we have merchandise. We have shirts and t-shirts and all that in our office. So when you visit and you'd like to purchase something, we have that.
And this is, Cindy is a very accomplished artist, and she's created 2 books and won the State History Award for one of her books. And they are available. Actually, you can read them on our website. So go on URSCC and you can read Cindy's books all about Perry Sanford and Lucinda.
If you're ready, we're going to go upstairs, and if you make it all the way to the top of the tower, we'll give you a sticker that says you made it to the top. And this is our Underground Railroad room. It kind of tells the story of what happened here in Cass County. This is a copy of the mural that is painted in downtown Cassopolis. It's by Ruth Andrews. And it tells the story of them crossing the Ohio River, the slave catchers coming, and confrontation at the Odell Mill and the courtroom. And I'll tell you all about that in the carriage house. We have 2 schools that come after they learn their part. They study the characters, they learn their part. They do a 1-minute speech, and they come to the Bonine house. It's called the Wax Museum, and they stand around in the rooms. And you get to walk up and touch a dot that's either on their hands or their props. We have Sam Adams Elementary School in Portage.
And Sam Adams, you're watching this now, and the 5th grades, and we're so sorry you can't come to the Bonine house, but hopefully you'll come with your family later this year when we're open.
This is, actually, we now have 20 sites. This shows just the 19 sites. We added another site this year to our driving tour, self-guided driving tour. So maybe when your family's out and about, maybe you'll do the tour of these sites and visit them.
And you can get a map in the park in Vandalia, and it'll show you how to see all these sites about the underground.
And also, if you go to our site, you also can download the map onto from your computer or your phone.
Right, and urscc.org.
Okay, now we're going into the Bonine Research Library. 6 wonderful researchers have contributed their research to the library. It makes it easy for people to come and look up some, if they think their family was here during that time, they can go look at this file, this collection here. It's the Marianne Bonine collection. And we have Bar Cooks. And we have Estelle Lawson's, and just a whole bunch of information.
And this is a very famous painting about Harriet Tubman on the Underground Railroad by Paul Collins of Grand Rapids.
And also, we want to give a shout out to Marianne Bonine. She helped start the Wax Museum.
And absolutely, and started our library. One of the very early members of Underground Railroad, and we miss her. This, I don't know if you can see Mary Ann.
This will become our Quaker room. It will have stuff about the Quaker families that helped establish the Underground Railroad. And the quilt that hangs on the wall over here was made by Sally Johnson in her art class. And you'll get to meet her when you're in high school. I hope she's still teaching. And this here box is where James E. Bonine stored all of his receipts and things for the farm. His farm was 1,600 acres. He had the elk farm and sowed grain and everything else, so he's a good farmer. And this quilt is from James E. Bonine's brother's wife, Lot Bonine, and she made the quilt, and it has been handed down from generation to generation. And the last family member decided to give it to the Underground Railroad Society of Cass County. And this is going to be our African American room. It's going to tell the story of the pioneer African American families, from freedom seekers to free blacks. We have the 102nd out there being the colored infantry. And we're telling, and some of you may be dressed up as the 102nd. I always say this to our visitors. You think the Quakers were very simple, but wait until you see this bed. Simple Quakers, I think not. It's a pretty fancy bed. The headboard is all carved out. There is details on the side, and even the foot has details in it. That is a Bible stand. It was James and Sarah's. So before they would go to bed at night, they would read a verse, and in the morning they would read another verse. We have some furniture that was on permanent loan from the Ash Kingsbury family. This piece here and that piece over there, they were friends of the Bonines. Now we're going into the family room. We have Elwood Bonine and his family. They were the last Bonines to live in a house, and they sold the farm in 1953 to the Wright family. And then the Wright family sold it to Betty and Frances, two sisters from Chicago. And then it was sold to Tom and Raleigh they were here for 1991.
Oh, they bought it in '99.
Okay.
And from Betty and Francis, and they were killed in 2001. So Tom Crosland and Raleigh Rome, and they're associated with Rainbow Farm.
And the house sat empty for 10 years after that. The only occupants at that time were the raccoons and the critters. And 2011, it was a big cleanup for the Underground Railroad Society of Cass County.
Okay, so. Now we'll take you to the tower. Yay!
And a lot of people thought that the tower was used to signal that it was clear for freedom seekers to come this way. But it wasn't. The tower was built after the Civil War. Most of the freedom seekers would have stayed over in the carriage house. And we'll talk about that when we're at the carriage house. So
Okay.
enjoy your trip to the top of the tower.
Okay, so this is the tower landing. Great double windows. There's some more Bonine furniture and painting, and a great donation from another Bonine relative. So I know you're excited to go up on the tower. So watch your head. This is the first steps. And up here we have these great round windows. And if you look out, you can really see the carriage house across the street and kind of see Ramp Town over there. Kind of that tree line was Ramp Town. Okay, so this is the first level. Gary Weaver that did Lucky, and you can see him right here, painted this on a mirror. And we have several paintings of the house throughout, and these are great donations. Okay, so we have this wall and another stairway. It's very narrow, so you be very careful. And here we're at the top of the tower. And this is a painting, it's a collage by Deb Wiggins. That's very wonderful. And here we are. You can look out all four windows, and so this is where James Bonine had 1,600 acres. And he could go up here and see it all. He had 4 barns, 5 tenant houses, and land everywhere. And of course, even a better view of the carriage house. And the buildings in front, the short one was a gas station and a convenience store in the 1930s. And it was open until the late 60s. It was called Bonine Corner. And next door, it's a garage that was built in the 30s that they used to work on cars and farm equipment. So we're gonna, okay, we'll head downstairs. Ooh, this is really, okay, here's the first landing. And going down again. Okay, we made it. Back to Cindy.
All right. You'll get your sticker when we're downstairs.
Okay, great. See you downstairs.
Okay, now we're going to cross the street and go to the carriage house. Meet you over there.